Let me begin by saying a few words about the Great Neck Chinese Association as a proud board member. Founded in 1995, GNCA has been serving the Great Neck Chinese community and beyond for the past 26 years. Our mission is to advocate for the common good of our members, promote understanding of Chinese culture and our people, encourage community services and social involvement, and more. It is with great honor to introduce one of our fellow board members, a proud Great Neck resident, Mr. Stephen Chen, to deliver a speech on behalf of the entire board of the Great Neck Chinese Association.
The Great Neck Chinese Association is immensely proud and honored to see so many of our friends and neighbors from the community and nearby gather here today, not just to bring more attention to the rise in hate crime against Asian Americans and other minorities based on their skin color, national origin, or religion. More importantly, we are all here today to show our unity as a community and to show our love and support for one another, regardless of the differences that make each of us unique and valuable to the community. We are proud to be Americans. At the same time, we are proud of our Chinese heritage and traditions. Being Chinese or Asian does not take away our love for and loyalty for this great nation of ours. In fact, we have played an important role in shaping the economic, institution, and social fabric of America as we know it today. Chinese Americans have contributed extensively to the U.S. society, from building its transportation infrastructures of bridges, roads, and the transcontinental railways during the 19th century, to helping this country secure the leadership status in the space race of the 20th century, and to the high-tech industries of today's economy. There are over 160,000 Chinese American-owned businesses in the U.S., generating approximately $240 billion of revenue and supporting over 1.3 million jobs. One in over 40 Chinese Americans, living Chinese Americans, aged 17 years or older, has either served, is serving, or training in the United States military. This has been a tradition since the American Civil War. That's right, the American Civil War. There are 45,000 Chinese restaurants in the United States. That's more than the number of McDonald's, KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and Wendy's combined. One could argue that if the United States had a national cuisine, it could be Chinese food. Sadly, these contributions were often ignored or even ridiculed. From the discriminatory legislations of the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 to today's growing anti-Asian sentiment and violence that we all see and hear on a seemingly daily basis. Our integration into the American life has never been made easy nor smooth. But we persevere in the hopes that we can make better life for ourselves and our communities. President Kennedy famously said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Well, we are contributing to this country as we have in the past, and will continue to do so for generations to come. At the same time, we are starting to ask what our country can do for us in order to help us feel safe and have a better sense of belonging. In this time of inflamed resurgence of racism and bigotry, we must re-examine how diversity has benefited this community and the country as a whole. Great Neck, New York City, and its surrounding areas, as well as the United States itself, have long been safe harbors to those that seek refuge from the stormy clouds of oppression and discrimination from many parts overseas. The reason why this community is so vibrant and full of love is not only do we have people from all walks of life living here, but because for most of us, or our parents and ancestors, at one point or another, we all came from different parts of the world, where we were all considered misfits and outsiders upon arrival. With that experiences, we each brought a little bit of uniqueness, joy, humility, and love into our community to make this home of ours more diverse, compassionate, and full of hope. No one single person or people can claim exclusivity to being American or to monopolize the American dream. The American dream belongs to every single one of us. Being American is to accept those that look different from ourselves, to learn from those cultures that are different from ours, to understand those that we might have otherwise feared. Because the idea of being American is not just what we call ourselves, but being more tolerant, knowing the differences between right and wrong, helping our children to navigate their moral compass, and treating fellow human beings with respect and dignity. When we come together as one singular group where everyone succeeds, the United States of America will continue to flourish so that we may continue with our pursuit to be a more perfect union. Remember, love will always prevail. Thank you, and God bless America.
It's our honor to introduce Pledge of Allegiance led by retired Army Honor Guard, Peter Nicole Tron, and Cub Scouts. Welcome.
Cub Scouts, advance the colors.
Protect America.
People of this grateful nation, put your hand over your heart, and all veterans, a hand salute, face the flag, and say the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic to which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's our great honor to introduce our guest speaker, Congressman Tom Suozzi. Welcome.
Thank you. You look great, everybody. Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. This is such a fantastic turnout today. Let's give a big thank you to the Great Neck Chinese Association for pulling this together, the mayor of the village for being here today, Ted Rosen, and Ellen Birnbaum for helping to organize this and getting all the logistics, the police, the fire department, and all of you. Thank you so much for being here today. Why are we here? Because in 2020, hate crimes in the United States of America actually went down. They went down by 9%. But hate crimes against Asian Americans went up by 150%. New York City saw an increase from 3 hate crimes in 2019 to 28 hate crimes in 2020. The biggest increase anywhere in the country. And we know, where there have been very few cases reported in Nassau County, we know that many cases are unreported altogether. We need people to always stand up and not be afraid to report when they are the victim of any kind of violence or any kind of crime. And we want you to know, all these elected officials that are here today are here for a certain reason. You know why? Because leadership matters. And we want you to know that we stand with you 100%. We will stand against all violence against Asian Americans and against any people and any kind of hate. Because what the world needs now is more love. Why do you think we saw such a dramatic increase in Asian hate crimes? Why? Because the previous president was out there saying things like the Chinese virus. Because you heard things like the Hong Kong flu. Leadership matters. The things you say matters. And we need to stand together and say today that all men and women in the United States of America are created equal. This country is based on that one idea. It's not a location as much as it is an idea. You can move to Rome, you don't become an Italian. You can move to Paris, you don't become a Frenchman. You can move to Munich, you don't become a German. You can move from anywhere in the world and move to the United States of America, and you become an American. Because we believe in an idea. Now, we have never fully lived up to the idea that all men and women are created equal. Look how we've treated African Americans in our history. Look how we've treated every different ethnic group throughout our history. Jews, even Italians and Irish. Now Latinos and Muslims. And now today we see the way we treat Asian Americans. But we have to constantly work together to form a more perfect union. To come together. To stand up for this idea. And I don't care if you've been here for 5 years or 5 generations. You're just as American as anybody else if you believe in that idea that we have to live up to the idea that all men and women are created equal. It is a constant effort. So I'm not going to say anything more other than I'm going to support and have supported all the legislation here, and you're going to hear from all the elected officials here, but I want to make special mention of one person, one of my colleagues, who's come from outside of the district into our district here today because she is recognized as a national leader on this issue. She is a great friend. She has crafted legislation that many people are getting behind every day and have passed. Let's give a big round of applause to Congresswoman Grace Meng. So thank you all for being here today, especially the young people. Let's give the young people a big round of applause for being here today. We love you. We're so happy that you're here today, and we will make this a more perfect union and live up to the ideas of this nation if we continue to do like what you are all doing here today. Thank you so much, everybody.
I'd like to share a prayer by Pope Francis that draws upon the peace prayer of Saint Francis. Let us pray. Lord, make us instruments of your peace. Help us to recognize the evil latent in a communication that does not build communion. Help us to remove the venom from our judgments. Help us to speak about others as our brothers and sisters. You are faithful and trustworthy. May our words be seeds of goodness for the world. Where there is shouting, let us practice listening. Where there is confusion, let us inspire harmony. Where there is ambiguity, let us bring clarity. Where there is exclusion, let us offer solidarity. Where there is sensationalism, let us use sobriety. Where there is superficiality, let us raise real questions. Where there is prejudice, let us awaken trust. Where there is hostility, let us bring respect. Where there is falsehood, let us bring truth. Amen.
And it is my absolute honor to introduce the one and only Congresswoman Grace Meng. As of April 22nd, she hailed the Senate's passage of her COVID-19 Hate Crime Act, which seeks to help combat the rise in anti-Asian hate related to the coronavirus. The legislation which she reintroduced last month was approved a few days ago with bipartisan support, which the vote was 94-1. Without further ado, Congresswoman Grace Meng.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Grace Meng from just over the border in Queens, and I want to thank Mayor Rosen and Congressman Swazi, my colleague, for allowing me to cross the border. I'm an immigrant today from Queens, literally. And I want to thank the Great Neck Chinese Association and all the amazing diverse organizations and leaders, and especially to my colleagues in government on all too many levels, which is great because that means you have tremendous support from all levels of government here today. This has been a really tough year for Americans all across this nation. But we have seen the Asian American community combat two viruses. One of the COVID-19 pandemic, and also that of discrimination and bigotry towards our community. And I know that people are so scared. People are telling their parents and their grandparents not to go outside. People are telling their own kids, don't go play outside, even though it's nice out. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you to so many people who have stood up and stood with the Asian American community. I will tell you, as a kid born and raised in New York City, I have never in my entire life seen and felt such widespread support from so many people beyond the Asian American community. And our community feels it, we are thankful for it, and we are so encouraged by it. But I also want to remind my community who I love, and I'll echo the words of something that our national NAACP President Johnson says often, which is the importance of being a friend before you need a friend. I want everyone to look around today and see all the faces that are here today. They are not just Asian-looking faces. They are faces from all different communities. And I want us to remember that when we are fighting against racism and hatred, that we're not only fighting and speaking out against it when it hurts our own community, that we have to speak up when it hurts anyone, any community. Over the last few years, this city and its leaders and its state and its leaders has gathered in diverse ways so often to march against anti-Semitism, to speak for Black lives, and now many of those leaders are standing with our community. And so I really want to implore our community to remember all those who have been standing up for us. You know, growing up as an Asian American, we have always been seen as either invisible or seen as outsiders and foreigners. We all remember stories from our childhood and probably even adulthood where people make fun of us. People make fun of our eyes, people make fun of our food, our cultures. They ask us where we learned to speak English, and they tell us to go back repeatedly throughout our childhood. And so many of us have stood silent for too long, but for even those who have stood up and spoken out, voices have been ignored for too long. And our community has been invisible for too long. Whether it's, like Stephen said, whether it's in our history books or our budget books of government, corporate philanthropy, and media. And this is something that we need to address together. Sometimes I feel like the muscles of advocacy within the Asian American community are relatively young, but we've learned so much by watching other communities, our allies, fight against hatred. And I want us to remember this solidarity. Congressman Swazi mentioned legislation that we passed. I want to give our New York Senator Chuck Schumer a shout out because he's been working relentlessly to get the bill through the Senate, and hopefully, you can clap for Chuck, he'll like that. And hopefully we can get it through the House, and President Joe Biden has already said he would sign it into law. But I want to remind ourselves that passing hate crimes legislation is not the be-all, end-all of what's going to solve this problem. It is only part of the solution, and it comes at the back end of this problem. We have to ask and fight for our government to invest more resources for our community from the front end, whether it's mental health services, community safety, so many social services that in New York City, for example, our community is over 15% of the population, and we get less than 1% of the government funding. So if you really want to stand with the Asian American community, we don't talk just about hate crimes. We also have to talk about equal access to funding and to opportunity. So lastly, I've gone too long, forgive me, but I really wanted to be here with all of you today. It's not often that we can gather like this, and it's not often that our Asian American community comes out publicly and marches like this. So we really have to take advantage of this moment. This moment is up to us. It is up to us to make sure that we are using these galvanizing moments to make real change and lasting change and strengthening the coalitions that have been built. We have to do it. We have no choice. The answer to racism is never more racism. I don't want to ever hear us pointing fingers at any other community. I don't care what race the attacker was. We have to fight together to address racism at its root. Racism affects every single community. And I want to make sure we're being constructive when we're having these conversations, and that the answer to racism is not more racism, it is solidarity. So thank you again to all of you for coming out today, for inviting me and my family to cross the border to here in Nassau County. Really proud of all of you, especially proud of our young children, our young people who are our future leaders, who are already leading the way. So thank you.
First of all, I'd like you to give a big round of applause for our wonderful Grace Meng. Grace, you're always welcome here. And I'm not a U.S. Senator, I'm a New York State Senator representing proudly District 7. I wouldn't want Chuck Schumer to come after me. He's doing a great job. We want him there, and we want him to be our voice and our advocate in Washington. I have to say, looking around this park and seeing people from all parts of this district, it warms my heart to see people coming, a community coming together and standing together, standing against hate. We all know that an attack on one of us is like an attack on all of us. We cannot be bystanders. We need to take action. We need to have peaceful rallies like this to say that we stand with you, that we have your back. I can tell you this past year has been really difficult on all of us. All of us in this district, all of us in this state, and all of us in this country, and the global impact of pandemic has hit every single family. But it is true that the Chinese American have been hit by 2 attacks. And I want you to know, when this pandemic hit, I had so many leaders in the Chinese American community who reached out to my office and said, Senator Kaplan, we have masks that we want to donate. We have food for our first responders and for our physicians and our nurses. We'd like your help to know where we can actually send all of this and show our support. You've always been with us, and I know I speak for every representative here behind me on every level of government that says we stand behind you, we stand with you, and we want you to know we won't be silent. God bless you. God bless America. United together, there is nothing we can't do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is great. I hope you guys don't mind. I'm brand new at this, so I have written my notes down. So I just want to say, first of all, how happy I am to be here today. And I know you're going to hear a lot of speeches. I know there are a lot of elected officials here today, but Congressman Swazi mentioned it earlier. It's important. Leadership matters. The people who represent you, the people who have the microphone, their words matter. And the fact that there are so many here today is so important. And they stand with you. They're with you. They are strong in solidarity with you. And you know, by gathering here today, there's so many different people. It's not just Asian people. There's every single group are represented here today. And, you know, we're saying that anti-Asian bias, hate, has no place in Great Neck, has no place in our community, in our county, and in our country. You know, it's been so hard this past year. You know, we've seen our Asian American friends and families, they've been spat on, they've been beaten, they've been told to go home, go back to where you came from. But you know what? You tell them this. You tell them, this is my home. This is where I live. This is my community. This is America. I belong here. And again, every elected official that stands with you today, they're going to fight for your America, for the America that we believe in, the one where everybody is equal, where everybody has a chance to succeed. Again, words matter. Leadership, all these people here, it matters. So again, I just wanted to thank you again for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here. And let's just go forth in love and in unity. Thank you.
Thank you, Great Neck Chinese Association, for organizing this amazing event. Thank you. Nassau County Executive Laura Curran has created an administration that is inclusive and is diverse. It values diversity, and we ensure that all communities have a voice. We hear you, we see you, and we are taking actions. At the Office of Asian American Affairs, we are tracking calls coming into our office. We are taking those calls and we're identifying the emerging trends within the Asian community to uplift and empower them. Whether you're calling about domestic violence, or you're calling about food insecurities, or you're calling about unemployment, or you're calling about discrimination, we are making sure we know what you're calling about and so we can identify those trends. If you call about discrimination, we work with the Nassau County Police Department, we work with the Crime Victim Advocacy Units, we work with the Nassau County Human Rights Commission to make sure that we are addressing the needs and concerns of the Asian community. We are educating and creating awareness about anti-Asian sentiment, and I need your help. If you have faced any sort of discrimination or microaggression, please reach out to our office, because this is our county, this is our country, and we belong here, and we need to make sure that we report all of these crimes and discriminations. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak to you all today, and what a great turnout. The first way we could show our support for anything is by showing up, and you've all done that, so thank you so much. This is my community, and it really is gratifying to see so many friends, neighbors, clergy, elected officials here today, children, everyone who came out. Thank you, because you are what makes the difference. I, as an elected official, I've had the opportunity at Nassau County to attend many vigils, unfortunately, on the steps in front of the Nassau County Legislature in Mineola. Earlier this month, we had one for the victims of the Atlanta shooting, and then more recently, we actually had a hearing of the Public Safety Committee. Although I'm not a member of that committee, I attended and I listened carefully to what people were saying, and then I had the opportunity to speak. And what I said was, everyone should feel safe. Government's main concern is the safety of our residents, and everyone should feel safe when they want to go out into the street. They shouldn't stay in for fear that something could happen to them. So when I had the opportunity to speak to Kevin and Stephen at the Great Neck Chinese Association, I said, we really ought to do something. Let's do some kind of gathering. And they said, okay, but let's discuss what we want to say. And I was so happy when they came back to me and they said, unity, because that's really the key to all this, unity. And the signs that they produce, we spread love. There's no room for hate in this community. We're different organizations, we're different backgrounds, we have different cultures, but we're united together. We're all one community. So that's really the key takeaway of this. We all have to get together. We have to get to know one another. And I know in my own synagogue, Temple Israel of Great Neck. We have had several activities with the Great Neck Chinese Association, right? And that's the answer. We have to be one community. We have to know and respect each other. We may have our differences, but we are all, as we said before, Americans. So please, let's keep this spirit of love going. Let's unite together and let's stand strong. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of Supervisor Judy Bosworth and the entire North Hempstead Town Board, many of whom we're going to hear from today, I believe, I want to welcome all of you and I want to thank our sponsors here today. We are here for one very simple but one very important reason. Because enough is enough. There has been too much hate, too much violence, too much intimidation to tolerate anymore. We know from organizations that there are nearly 4,000 documented cases of anti-Asian violence in this country just in the last year. That is unacceptable by any standard. Now we know that it's important for the laws and the legislation that Congresswoman Meng and so many others are putting forward right now, because laws change behavior. Laws foster good behavior and they prohibit and punish bad behavior. But we know that laws are not enough. We can change behavior through a law, but we can only change attitudes, we can only change hearts and minds through time and through tolerance and through greater efforts. But there's hope in all of that. The hope is, and I hope you all get the chance before you leave here today, to take a moment to just turn around where you're standing and see all the people who are here who want to change hearts and minds, who want to change attitudes throughout our country. All of you are the hope that we need to have. The other hope is that we know that social scientists tell us that we're not born to hate. It's not instinctive in us. It's a learned response to the world around us. So seeing all these young people here today, that tells us that if they don't have hate in their hearts, they will raise families that don't have hate in their hearts. They will raise communities that don't have hate in their hearts. So let's hope, and let's continue to hope. Let's continue to work together. Let's continue to rally like this until the day comes when we no longer have to rally for these causes. Until then, let us all know that the future is in good hands and that we will continue to change the present. And thank you all. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here today on this rainy but not so rainy day. So I'm Councilwoman Veronica Lurvey of the town of North Hempstead, and I live here in Great Neck, and I love Great Neck. Considering the recent events that have occurred here and across the country, we know that fostering unity is needed now more than ever before. It is through coming together like this with our neighbors and our friends, like we're doing today, that we can hope to achieve the change that we deserve and so desperately need in America. I am immensely proud to be speaking with my fellow elected officials today, and I thank the presidents of the GNCA and everyone involved for all your efforts to foster unity. Supervisor Bosworth and I recently established the North Hempstead Asian American Advisory Committee. We have met with community leaders to discuss what can the town do to prevent and address anti-Asian bias, intolerance, and violence, and let the Asian community know that the town stands with them. We stand with you. We are not strangers at the town to embracing our diverse cultural backgrounds. Several years ago, the town put in place the Not in Our Town program, and you'll see some of the signs. I'd love to see the Not in Our Town signs. We took the pledge to stand up to all forms of hate, racism, intolerance, and bullying, and to build safer and more inclusive communities for everyone. Working with the town's Asian American Advisory Committee, we recently made new Not in Our Town signs. You may have seen one on the Long Island Railroad overpass. There's one in front of Town Hall, and we'll be making them more for distribution. These signs say "Stop Hate" together in a variety of Asian languages. We must remember that there is a danger in remaining silent. The only way in which we can fight against intolerance is by using our voices. Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. Together, we here share the same vision of unity. Let us all continue to promote the importance and power of education and collaboration in our campaign to embrace each other and to embrace our cultural differences. Thank you.
Hello, my friends in the Asian community. I'm in Great Neck since 1955. And I was here when you came here. And as an elected official, as town councilwoman, I'm so proud that you are here with us in the town of North Hempstead. Thank you for coming to the town. You give us culture, language, and we are so proud of you. Thank God a million times we have you with us. God bless you all.
Now I welcome children of Great Neck to have a speech.
Spread love, not hate! We love our country and we love our community.
United, we can do great things.
We all have a different face and come from a different place, but we all make part of the human race. Let the change begin with you and me. We're Filipino and we're proud. I'm Indian and I am proud to be. We are Latino and we are proud. Thank you. Next we welcome the representative students from Great Neck Middle School. Let's have a round of applause for them. I'm Joy Wei from North Middle School. Together with me are Krish Patel from South Middle, Isaac Zhu from North Middle, Olivia Gu from South Middle, Irina Chang from South Middle, and Sarah Sun from South Middle. We represent the middle school group speakers on this day. It is scary to watch the news of how Asian Americans are being harassed and attacked. It hurts being told go back to your country when you were born and raised here. Anti-Asian American hate has long existed in America. During the pandemic, xenophobic rhetoric fanned the flames and doused it in gasoline. The first time I heard the use of Kung Flu, something bad stirred in the pit of my stomach. Was it the words themselves, seemingly directed like knives to mock and blame? Was it the casual, self-satisfied flippancy? Or perhaps it was the roar of approval that ensued. But one thing was for sure, it made me sick. Associating a culture symbol with a virus that has taken away so many lives is spreading hate.
Community members must take action. If we don't, hate persists. A third way is to join forces. Reach out to allies from churches, schools, and other civic groups. Support the victims because they are especially vulnerable. Hate must be exposed and denounced at every incident by all.
This country is founded on the principle that everyone will be free, equal. Love created this great nation. Throughout history, what has hate accomplished? In World War II, hatred cost the lives of millions of innocents. Hatred caused the greatest conflicts known to man, has only left a deathly blemish on mankind. Only love has the power to heal, the power to resolve, and the power to achieve a dream. We cannot meet hatred with hatred. We cannot fight fire with flame. We are not here to express our hate, but express our love. In the end, love will overcome all. Love overcomes hatred. Hope overcomes bias. In expressing our love and unity, we progress in solving these issues, because hate has no home here.
All of us have seen or heard about regular citizens being attacked because of their race. China virus and many other racial slurs are what Asian Americans hear every day. It hurts to know that people are judging you for your race. It hurts to know that the Asian American community has contributed so much in helping pandemic relief efforts, only to be blamed for it. Yet today we all stand united to bring attention to these efforts. We unite to stop the hate and empower others to do so as well. Like Yuri Kochiyama once said, the movement is contagious, and the people in it are the ones who pass on the spirit. I would like you to remember that we will all fight together, and we will all work together in fighting this good fight as one.
All around us, we are seeing Asian American hate crimes, on the news, on social media, and even in person. But we don't always see people speaking up and helping the victims. If you speak up when someone is in danger, you have the ability to stop it before it becomes too serious. When you hear someone saying racial slurs, speak up. When you hear someone being verbally abused, speak up. When you see someone being physically assaulted, speak up. When you see something hateful on social media, speak up. Your voice can make an impact. If you speak up, more people will join in, resulting in less injustice.
We must remember that everything begins at the bottom of the pyramid of hate, slowly traveling its way up as inflammatory actions feed the fire. We must endeavor to maintain unity in a population, and a fear of differences will serve only to widen the cracks in this country. By quelling the source, we can stifle the flow, and truth be told, the source isn't that hard to find. Every civilian, every student, every parent can do their part in blocking a flooded river. The only challenge to overcome before adding your brick to build a bridge that leads to indivision and celebrating togetherness is the fear of being different. All of you gathered here today are doing your part in making your voice heard. Thank you so much for listening.
Now we'll welcome our final speaker, Green Neck High School kids.
Hi, my name is Tyler Chang. I'm the president of the Asian Cultural Club.
My name is Eliza Fine. I'm the president of the Gender and Sexuality Alliance.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Cohen. I'm the president of the Social Justice Awareness Club.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Sokolova, and I'm the co-founder of Green Neck Protest.
For decades, minorities have been subjected to discrimination in various forms, from prejudice laws to hate crimes committed by neighbors. Within the last year, we have seen an incredibly large increase in hate crimes towards minorities, including Asian Americans. Within our own community, we've seen hateful actions take place, including attacks on our neighbors and peers. The attacks against Asians, Black people, and members of the LGBTQ community are endemic of a wider and more insidious tide that is rising in the country, lack of tolerance for differences.
The truth is that if we do not acknowledge these violent actions and the hate that fuels them, the negativity and intolerance will infiltrate our great neck bubble that we may feel very insulated by. It's not enough to tell ourselves that we don't see the hate and bigotry among our neighbors and peers, and to use that in excusing not being engaged.
We want to live in a community where we can grow up and our children can grow up without having to hide any part of who we are in fear of discrimination. The only way to do this is if we begin to foster a community of acceptance and unity now, and rallying behind this movement is the first step towards building this kind of hatred.
As students, we see the need to bridge our differences and not let them divide us. Why should we stand up and say no to hate and bigotry instead of being passive bystanders?
Because you would want someone to stand up for you if you were the victim of bullying or discrimination.
Because we are decent human beings and we want to help others who cannot necessarily help themselves.
Because we are students and we want the world to be a better place for ourselves and the future generations.
Because we are good global citizens who care for our neighbors within and beyond the physical boundaries of our Great Neck community. Because we are
Stronger united than we are divided.
Thank you guys so much. And now, finally, we're heading to the best part of today. Which we're all going to have from Grace Avenue to Middle Neck Road, and then we'll begin our march for the unity and love. Thank you, everyone.
Stop Asian hate! 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 Love is the cure! Love is the cure! Love is the cure! Love is the cure!
Love is the cure!
Love is the cure!
Stop Asian hate! Stop Asian hate!
We start with a question. How can we find the way to peace? By asking for forgiveness and forgiving. Finding resolution and embracing the change. By hoping and accepting a new way of being. Everyone, love brings peace. Love brings wonder. Love brings life. Love brings hope. Love brings happiness. Love brings trust. Love brings kindness. Love brings peace. When you peer into a baby's eyes, a connection that can wrap us with healing light, with God bringing blessing to all we touch and see, the gift of love we celebrate tonight. Love brings peace, love brings wonder, love brings life, love brings hope, love brings happiness, love brings trust. Love brings kindness, love brings peace. If doubt fills our hearts, then we lose our trust, facing anger, destruction, and greed. Arrogance, confusion, darkness, and tears, which turn to put aside our fears. Everyone, love brings peace, love brings wonder. Love brings life, love brings hope, love brings happiness, love brings trust, love brings kindness, love brings peace. Our voices joined in song today can bring a lasting peace as we feel this harmony in everything we do, opening our minds to lead us to shalom, fulfilling our purpose, bringing us closer to God. Love brings wonder, love brings love, love brings hope, love brings happiness, love brings trust, love brings kindness, love brings peace. When we live within God's path, we will honor each other and be at home as we listen to magnify our shared embrace. Trust brings love, Hava Miya Shalom. Love brings peace, everyone. Love brings wonder. Love brings life. Love brings hope. Love brings happiness. Love brings trust, love brings kindness, kindness, kindness.